Guys, we have a lot to talk about in regard to the Moto Razr 2022. New information and some information about the Z Flip 4 that when you pair it with what we know about the Moto Razr makes things a little bit more interesting than maybe we thought that they were going to be. So first off, let's jump to this tweet thread where I kind of put it all together. Moto Razr event is coming up very soon. This was posted by Moto on Weibo, which is sort of a Chinese social media website, and this is translated into English, so bear with me on the translation here. But basically what they're saying here is that August the 2nd, they're going to be announcing new products. A double flagship announcement. See you at the top, like Dr. Disrespect always says. And if you go to the next image, we have what appears to be the X30 as well as the Moto Razr 2022, and that is the device that we're interested in for this particular post. Not to say that the X30 is not interesting. That camera module looks to be absolutely insane, I believe. Is this the one that's using that 200 megapixel Samsung sensor? I think it's like the HP1 or something like that. I talked about this earlier and I've already forgotten it. But anyways, I digress. Moto Razr 2022 coming August the 2nd, that is when this thing's going to be fully unveiled. Now, if you don't know, let's get caught up on the specs here really quickly. Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, 6.7-inch, 120Hz display, looking great so far. 12 gigs of RAM for the maximum, 512 storage, a 50 megapixel primary sensor, big upgrade from what we had in the past. I really like the fact that the wide angle is also doubling as a macro, so you can get up real nice and close with it, so you're pulling double duty. It's a 13 megapixel, almost like having 3 cameras there. A 32 megapixel selfie and a larger 3-inch cover display. You have a pretty good idea of what this thing is actually going to look like. The camera module has been radically altered. And of course, that cover display is larger than ever. You can actually see here the device at a distance being held up, and you can see that that large chin is gone and the notch in the forehead is also gone. So this thing is looking a lot like the Z Flip 3 or now the Z Flip 4. But a big piece of information here that we have to talk about is the recent rumors on the pricing of the Moto Razr 2022 puts it at $1,149. This is likely to mean in America we're not going to go above $1,200. This is a pretty big deal because you have to pair that with the fact that the Z Flip 4 is now rumored to actually be going up in price, making it $1,080 or about $1,100. So suddenly, we've gone from a world where the Z Flip was much cheaper and had better specs to a world where the Razr now has very similar specs, right? We have to talk about that it's the 8 Gen 1 versus the 8 Plus Gen 1 in the Flip. So the Flip is still a little bit faster, hypothetically anyways. But on the rest of the stuff, the cameras, the Razr has the advantage there. They've come to spec parity in a lot of ways, and now the price is only $100 apart if rumors are in fact to be believed. Now, one big place where I think that the Flip still might have an advantage is in terms of battery life. So the Moto Razr has had a 2800 milliamp hour battery in the last model, and rumors are it's going to be keeping that same battery. Now, if you don't know much about batteries and phones, 2800 milliamp hours is really small and does not typically lead to good battery life. Now, in the past, Moto has used a mid-range chipset to kind of balance things out, and the battery was okay. Well, now they're going to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. This is not a mid-range chip. This is a full-blown top flagship chip that uses a lot more power. So if they're sticking with that small battery, with a bigger cover display, a big high refresh rate screen, and that processor, the battery life might actually end up being worse than what the Z Flip has, which also has been largely panned for having bad battery life. The Flip is actually increasing its battery size, so it's going the other direction. Both had middling battery life. One's getting a bigger battery, one's battery is staying the same, while the processor, the screens, everything seems to be pushing towards more battery drain. So that might be a big differentiating factor for a lot of people, the simple fact of longevity on these devices. But still, $100 apart now. These things are directly in competition, and I think this is going to be really interesting to compare these two. And who knows, some people seeing Samsung's price go up and Motorola's come down, maybe that's going to push some people to try the Motorola device, to try the different thing. Maybe they're going to see that 50 megapixel camera, that macro lens. Gotta get the software right, you know. Just because you got good specs doesn't mean you have a good camera, but it's just really cool to me that we're in a place now where the Razr can, I think, actually directly compete with the Z Flip, and hopefully that means that the Z Flip 5 can't come out and be exactly the same as the 4, the same as the 3. Competition is really good to see. We've not got anything in terms of American competition with the Z Fold. It's great to me to see something like this happening with the Flip. Maybe that will lead to some innovation. You can see that Motorola definitely trying to change some things up. They took a year off there, and now they're coming back with a phone that is extremely different from their last model. Clearly, this is their goal, to go to Samsung and challenge them directly. Guys, I would love to know what you think about this. If you're in the market for a flip phone like that, does this maybe make you want to sway a bit towards Motorola? Do you feel the momentum, the wind at their back? What do you think about these two devices? Please let me know in the comments down below. And stay tuned as we get closer to August 2nd for this Moto event. I'll definitely cover that. And then August 10th for the Flip and Fold event, which of course I will also cover. Reserve your own Flip and Fold in the link down below to get up to $200 back in Samsung credit. If you're going to buy the thing, you might as well reserve it now and get that credit sent back your way for doing nothing. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.